Testing, testing. Hello, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Hmm. Hey, Josh. How are you? Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Hey, Leon. How are you? Ah. Hey, Mike. They're uh, they're resting right now. They've been under the weather pretty much all day. All right, come on in. Let everyone know that we're live. Kiwa, how's it going? Yeah. Hey, Keith, how are you? Hmm. Hey, Johan from Australia. Wow. What time is it in Australia right now? Hey, Joseph, how are you? I'll give everybody just a moment or two more, and then we'll get started. Uh, okay, that's we're 8 hours ahead. All right. Okay, well, thank you all for coming on today. Hey, Rita, how are you? So we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, and so let me just do do a couple things first. Let me do a couple announcements, and then we'll get into what I want to talk about today. And I'm definitely not going to keep you really long tonight. Um, uh, we are some of you all who are in our community got the message from me um, um, that you all have been making suggestions for our website and things you want to see, and we've been listening. And so one of those announcements, surprise announcements, is that we've been updating our website behind the scenes. And so we've been doing it for about a month, and we're in the final testing phases before we release it out to the public. So that's going to happen really, really soon. I'm hopeful in the next few days it'll happen. Um, and so we're still working through some of the kinks. And so I just want to, and you might notice you might have to re-sign in or these things. And so if you've purchased products from us before, some downloads or these things like that, you want to make sure that you go ahead and make sure you have those downloaded because in this transition is uh, I'm hoping it all goes smoothly, but just in case, I want to make sure you have your resources. So if you've gotten something, anything from our website, you want to go ahead and make sure you go to your profile page and download those resources so you have them. Um, just because sometimes transitions can be not smooth, and this is a huge transition we're making from one platform to a completely different platform, a completely different way of doing it. And so we're really excited about it. We have some more big surprises for you that I really want to share with you, but I want to wait and let you see it live. All right. So thank you all again for being on. Um, so one of the things that I really value, um, that's really something that I kind of made a part of what I do, is drawing inspiration from different sources. Um, and let me just say this: this and last week's live streams might be my most important live streams. You know, I've done live streams, and normally I'm playing and doing a lot of playing. Um, but I think this week and last week's um, will probably be my most important live streams ever. But anyway, I like to draw inspiration from different sources. Um, for instance, let me give you, and I encourage you to do it as well, because if you're solely thinking musically, sometimes you run into a wall. For instance, let me just show you what I mean. I was thinking about roller coasters, and roller coasters go up and then down, so that there's just real tension, and then it releases, right? Sometimes the tension that they go up and then they come down a little bit, then go up more, and it makes the tension rise. So I drew inspiration from that, and I was like, well, wait a minute, on dominant chords, maybe I can make the tension rise. So we have tension, and you feel like it's resolved, then more tension, and that's a direct result of thinking about roller coasters. So I encourage you to think about or draw inspiration from other things outside of music, um, and that's kind of like that can we can go really deep in that, but that's not what I want to focus on. Um, and so one of the things I do, I have a playlist on my on one of my on YouTube somewhere, um a motivation playlist where I draw inspiration from lots of people, and these are non-musical people. Um, Surprising, one of the biggest people I draw influence from is Will Smith. Listening to his motivation stuff, and he's phenomenal. I draw inspiration from a lot of places, um, and one of the unknown places that I've drawn inspiration from was from Kobe Bryant. Um, Now, many of you know that Kobe Bryant died in a tragic helicopter crash a few days ago. Him, along with 8 other people, I believe, uh, including his daughter, 13-year-old daughter. Um, and so I thought today I would just, uh, um, kind of as my ode to Kobe, kind of share some of the lessons I learned from him. And let me just put this caveat out there. I am really, really uh, saddened, not just about Kobe losing his life, but about all of them losing their life in such a tragic way. Um, so, three things I've learned from Kobe. It's actually a little bit more, but I want to talk about the three big things that I've learned from Kobe Bryant. Now, I didn't know Kobe, so I didn't know I didn't learn this personally, like talking to him. But over the years, I listened to many interviews he did, and the stuff he says lines up with a lot of the things um, that I've been preaching and saying, and the people that I look up to is the same things they say. And so, one of the first quotes um, I want to share from Kobe Bryant is outwork your potential. Outwork your potential. Outwork your potential. This is a direct quote from Kobe. Um, and so like outworking, he was always big about going past what you thought was possible. Sorry, my microphone is acting up a little bit. There we go. I'm going beyond what you think is possible. So, like, what do you think your limit is? What do you think your ceiling is? You think your ceiling is just being a average to intermediate musician? Well, go beyond that. Go beyond that. When I think about Kobe, he wasn't the quickest guy. There are plenty of guys in the NBA who are quicker than him. He wasn't the highest jumper. There are plenty of guys that jumped higher than him. He wasn't the best shooter. There are plenty of guys that could shoot better than him. Um, but there's stories after story about Kobe and his work ethic. Um, but no one in the league was willing to work harder than him. And let me just share one thing, like his workout. So basketball players have the on season and then the off season, and so Kobe during the off season for 6 months, 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, he would work out for 6 months straight, 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, and that workout 6 hours a day was broken into three 2-hour sessions. And one was working on the track, running. One was doing cardio and lifting, and then one was working on basketball skills. So 6 hours a day for 6 months, and then you go into the basketball season where it's even more grueling. And this was the kind of work he was putting in, and that no one else was putting in. And one of his favorite sayings was to make sacrifices. And so as a musician, the question is like, what is my potential, and am I willing to work to go beyond my potential, outwork my potential? Am I willing to make the sacrifices necessary to become great at 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 my instrument and what I've kind of set my hand to do? Um, and so, if your life does not look like uh, um, if like so if you decided I want to be the greatest jazz pianist, or I want to be the greatest gospel musician, I want to be the greatest organist. Um, well, does your life, if I looked at your life, would your life say that that's your goal? I know lots of musicians that never practice, um, and they trying to kind of just live off um, the work they did prior. And so they just kind of coast there and don't really improve, um, but they play enough because of gigs or something else that they can kind of maintain their skills, kind of, but they're not improving. Rather, they might spend the time playing video games all day or something else. Um, so does your life? So y'all talk to me right in the chat. Does your life look like your pursuit? If we were to take a spreadsheet of your life, everything you've done in a day, uh, does it look like you're pursuing being like what is your goal? What is your goal with music, and are you pursuing it? Let's do that question. What is your goal with music, and are you pursuing it? So let me know in the chat. What is your goal with music, and are you pursuing that? Okay, let me see. Let me respond. Hey Rita, how are you? Thanks for joining. Wow, from Nigeria. Hey Domingo, I'm good. Hey Wilson. Hey Roger, Noriko, Siobhan. Okay, but let me know in the chat. What is your goal with music, and are you pursuing it? Hey James. So, what is your goal for music? Yeah. So, Johan says music for fun. Okay, and if that's your goal, then great. Just this is just something I do for fun. Um, cool deal. Our Keith says not consistently. Yeah, I think that might be where most of us land. Um, so if you've decided to like pursue music, I decided at around 20, 21 that I was going to pursue music. It's going to be my pursuit, and um, and so I started pursuing it then, um, and it became my life's passion. Let's see. Roger says to have complete freedom on my instrument. Wow, that's like one of my goals. Like, um, Paul says I want to compose, produce music professionally. Nice. Now, my question to you all is: are you pursuing that, and are you pursuing it hard? Are you making the sacrifices to pursue that? Noriko says create music everyone can enjoy, including me. That's funny. So Leonard Styles says to be able to speak the language of music as fluently as possible. Noriko says yes, she's pursuing. All right, to be as fluent in music, to be fluent in music. Well, are you pursuing it? All right. So the first lesson I learned from Kobe is outwork your potential. Make sacrifices, work to accomplish uh, your goal. The second thing uh, I learned from Kobe is it's focus on the minimal. This is something I've also learned from Bill Evans, a music guy, but I also learned it from Kobe. Kobe was talking about um, 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 seeing what he wanted to be, how he wanted to play, and then deconstructing that. You see somebody do a series of moves, and then they score, and it all looks amazingly beautiful. It looks just phenomenal, right? And so he said, you got to deconstruct that whole process and break it down one piece at a time, and then work piece after piece, building it, building it, building it until you have this tapestry of a move. But you started building it piece by piece by piece. Well, in music, this is exactly how we do it. We don't start by playing songs, you know. We start by focusing on one piece. First how to play one note, and then a chord, and then movements and these things, right? Um, and then here's another thing, like Kobe said, was to focus on each day. So I'm working on this move, and this is what I'm working on to perfect. I'm working on this move. I'm working on this thing. You hear me say it all the time: mastery, mastery, mastery. Um, so, and you hear me talk about this, but today uh, today we're so focused on am I advanced now, or am I intermediate now? Um, when will I be advanced? And like that, that shouldn't be our focus. Our focus should simply be on improving um, our skills each and every day, one after the other. And Kobe talked about this. He said when he got in the league, he was saying that, say for instance, guys will wake up around 10, and then go to the gym maybe around 12 for like 2 hours, then take a break, then come back maybe at 6 and practice for another 2 hours, and they'd be done. But he was saying that he would get up early at 4, I think he said 4 o'clock, and do a session. Then eat breakfast at 6, then come back and do another 2 hour session, then have lunch, then come back and do another 2 hour session, and then come back and do another 2 hour session. And he was saying, over the course of one day, I've gotten twice as much as the average uh, basketball player. And and he said, if I do this consistently over the course of years, it'll be impossible for the next guy to catch me because I have so much time put in. Um, and so, but his focus wasn't the end; it was just day to day to day to day. Um, so let's see what some people are saying. Okay, all right. So we need to focus on the little thing we can do today to improve. So are you I know we have these, like, we have SMART goals, and we have, you have your long-term goal, but do you have your task for today that you're working on, that you're trying to improve on? What is it? Like for me, I try to do a yearly goal, like a set of yearly goals, and then I have like monthly goals, and then like weekly, and then daily things that this is what I'm doing today. This is what I'm doing today, and just trying to s- hammer that out. All right. So the two things: number one, outwork your potential, go beyond what you think is possible. Um, and then secondly, focus on the minimum. Let's not focus on the end goal. Let's just focus on uh, getting better each day. Like compete with yourself. Like today, I could play my C major scale at 100 beats per minute to the quarter note. Tomorrow, I want to be able to do it 105 beats per minute, and then the next day, and so forth and so on. You see? Okay. All right. Let me just pause for a minute. Now, one of the things I'm seeing is this idea to be fluent in every aspect of being a musician, and I believe it's a great goal. It's a big goal. Um, which means you have to break down um, every part of being a musician. You want to be If you want to be fluent in everything, break down what are the areas I need to work on, and then pick an area and start working, and then pick another area and start working until you get it and master each area, and over time, um, you will become fluent in everything. And I know we're talking about Kobe Bryant, but as I mentioned, Will Smith is another guy that I listen to, as far as motivation to become a better musician. He told the story of one summer his dad tore down the wall in front of his store or whatnot, and then told Will and his brother to build the wall back. Now that seems like an impossible task, um, but Will said that you don't build a wall by putting up a new wall. You build a wall one brick at a time. And so his responsibility was to make sure each brick was placed perfectly on the wall. And then after he did one, he go back and do another. And I think he said it took him 18 months, I think, if I have that right. But by the end of it, they had a beautiful wall, right? All right. So yeah, if you want to be fluent or want to be a complete musician, you want to have, then you got to write out every area. And actually, I have, let's see, I've kind of done some of this for you. So let me just give you all a link, so you can download some stuff for free. Um, Here we go. So I have a link where many of you all probably already have this, but there might be some that don't. I give you my practice schedule and I list out areas of musicianship and stuff. So if you want to be a complete musician, that's one of my goals as well. So um, it's a free download. So use that link in the chat box. Okay, so outwork your potential, focus on the minimum, and then the last one is trust your preparation. Now, this one really got me. Um, so they were talking to Kobe about retirement, and like saying how are you dealing with retirement? Are you okay? Um, how are you able to function now and stuff like that? And Kobe, he was saying, he said, I'm at peace in retirement. Uh, he said basically, I left everything on the table. There was no stone that I did not overturn to become the best basketball player I could be. There was nothing I did not do to become the best basketball player I could be. And so I don't have any regrets. And that right there, like, just completely, like, uh, blew my mind because I had plenty of regrets, regrets of things that I have not done, and wish I had done, and of course I still can do them. Um, but are we turning over every stone, doing everything we possibly can to be the best musician we can be, right? And so when you do that, when you at the end of the day, you can whether you're retiring or it's a time to play. It's time to play. It's time for the the gig or the performance or the service or whatever you're doing, and you can trust your preparation. Like, I've done everything I can to be prepared for this event, so now I can just trust it. Or in retirement, I've done everything I can to um, perfect my craft, and so I can rest easy knowing that I've done it all. So I just do my best at this point, and it's okay. I remember I don't know how old I was. I might have been 20, 21, 19, 20, 21. And there's a musician here in Atlanta. Her name is Natalie Reagan. She's one of the most phenomenal musicians you'll find. She plays with Tyler Perry and Donnie McClurkin, and she's phenomenal. And I remember me and my friend came down from South Carolina to Atlanta where she was, and to hang out with her. And so she took us over to her house, and for hours we just sat there, and she just kind of poured into us, showed us how she practiced, and it was the craziest practice routine I've ever seen. Like, she would have the keyboard at weird angles. And I was like, Natalie, why do you have the keyboard tilted at these weird angles? And her response was, I want to make myself as uncomfortable as possible and still be able to play and produce. So that when I go to other places and have to play, you know, you don't feel comfortable, but can you still produce? And so this is what I'm doing. I'm doing everything I can to make myself feel comfortable in my practice time, so that when it's time to play, um, I can produce. And I was like, whoa, that was like a mind blowing moment for me. Like, wow, make yourself feeling comfortable like that. And she was practicing some stuff that I had never even thought to practice at the time, and that kind of changed my whole mindset. And so now, if I have any deficiency, if I miss a note anywhere, then it's like, oh, there's something I need to work on, there's something I need to practice, and everything can be worked out. And so you overturn every stone. You overturn every stone. Like some people, I have a fear of playing in front of people. Overturn that stone. Every time you play, call somebody in to stand there and watch you play until and work through that fear. Work through the process of pushing past your fear. Whatever stone it is, I don't know how to improvise. Um, uh, well, invest in learning how to improvise, and we do have an improvisation course. Shameless plug. Uh, but the point is, don't leave any stone unturned in your pursuit of becoming the best musician you can be. Okay, so three things I learned from Kobe: outwork your potential, focus on the minimal, and trust your preparation. Trust that you've overturned every stone. Now, for me, these have always been an indictment for me to be better. And so I just want to share them. I wanted to share these with you all, and hopefully that you would take these and use these as motivation to improve, to get better, to outwork, to work harder than what you've been working to accomplish your goal, to focus on just the minimal. Keep your head down and focus on this one task. And then lastly, don't leave any stone unturned. Do everything you can to improve your skills, every area, and then trust your preparation. Okay, so those are the three things I've learned from Kobe. I'll take a few questions if anybody has any. I know today it wasn't really much playing um, today or teaching that kind of thing. But are there any questions, or can you all relate to this? Does this make sense? Um, and I'll just play a little bit while I give you time to write. All right. Let's see. Leon says, "What was that third quote?" Um, just about overturning every stone. Make sure you overturn every stone. All right. So, are there any other questions? See, Johnny says this is good. Thank you, Johnny. Leonard says, Boston says, it's a total sense. Cool deal. Oregon Beast. I really appreciate the content. Thank you so much. You're welcome. With a name like Oregon Beast, I have to hear you play. Send me a link or something. I want to hear you play. Cephas says, I think another thing Kobe used was his motivation. Like he used different types of motivation. Um, well, Kobe was interesting because he set a goal and was motivated to accomplish that. He was very much internally motivated, and then he would use things like he loved playing on the road at the opponent's court because when they booed, that just fueled him even more. So he was internally motivated, but could use external factors to help motivate him even more. Right? Um, some of us aren't internally motivated. Some of us are more externally motivated. Um, so if you're externally motivated, meaning like you're not like you need someone to help you get going. So if that's the case, then you got to set yourself up to succeed. So have a partner who you compete with in practicing, right? Like who can practice the longest if you need outside, or take a class where you you have a grade or you have somebody that's holding you accountable. So you have someone external from yourself helping you accomplish, helping you make sure you meet your goals. If you're internally motivated, then you already have that in you. But for some of us, we're more externally motivated. I say I'm about me personally. I'm about 65% external, 35% internal. So and maybe that switches. Maybe it's a little closer. Maybe it's closer to 50-50. But I am as competitive as they come. I love competition, and I love people holding me accountable. So I'll set things up like I have to present something to somebody, which means I gotta know my stuff. So I do that to kind of help me be externally motivated. I'm also internally motivated as well, definitely. Let's see. Noriko says, maybe this is a bit weird question, but how you develop your own metronome inside of you? I'm very unstable rhythmically, and I want to improve. You know, uh, 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 Noriko, I don't know if many people know this, but I marched drumline in college at Clemson. I was, marching snare drum, like, and we spent a lot of time internalizing um, the time. So and we used to do that. Turn the metronome off. Put it back on. Um, so, uh, Rico, I would say record yourself and record yourself playing in time, and then go back and listen and find out where's the exact point you lose time and why. And so you got to do some development. I mean, some investigation to find out where it is I'm losing time. What is it that? Now, for me, sometimes I'll play a line that's an eighth note short. I'll forget to do a half step somewhere, and it'll become an eighth note short, and then I'll be like an eighth note ahead. So I got to correct it, or I'll be off. So you got to figure out what it is for you. But for me, I spent a lot of time practicing internalizing the tempo. So setting the metronome up, then turning it off, and seeing if I could continue in time, then turning it back on and see if I'm still there. Like turning the volume down and turning it back up, um, and see if I'm still on beat. Um, and then um, and then even going further, like what part of the beat am I on? Am I on the front of the beat, middle, or the back of the beat? So I find that uh, um, in a lot of times I'm thinking about ideas so fast I want to get to them that a lot of times I'll push and be on the front end of the beat. So then I have to really focus and say, okay, play on the back end or play dead center. And so that comes with listening, like recording myself, going back and listening. Where part of the beat I am I on? And then doing it again and again and again. That's kind of the minuscule. I mean, that's like the smaller part of it. The bigger part is just make sure you're still on the beat period. And so definitely using a metronome helps. Man Cave, how did you learn your scale and mode fingerings? Scale fingers are fairly common. Um, and just practice, slow practice is how you do it. Slow practice. Do one at a time. Um, and focus on one until you get it. And the crazy thing about music is when you get one, the next one becomes easier. So we see this task of like, oh, there are 12 keys, so there are 12 major scales, 12. Then there are three minor scales for each key, so that's 36 more. And then you got your church modes, and then it becomes this. It's like you got your symmetric diminished scales, you got your, and it becomes uh, a lot of scales. But when you get the first one down, and if you get it down well, the next become easier and easier and easier. Melodic Soul says, any recommendation for a good metronome map? Yeah, I'll share the one I use. I think it's really good. I'm not endorsed by anybody or anything like that, but if you can see this, it's called Pro Metronome by EUM Lab. They have a free one, and so you can see it works like that. And then I have the paid one that lets you do a little bit more with subdivisions and polyrhythms and stuff like that. So I can work those things. Let's see. I struggle with time. Like, do I practice piano? Do I learn a mixing technique or ins and outs of a plugin? Sometimes super. Yeah, Paul, I hear you on that. I wear a lot of hats as well, but you got to make a decision at least for. And so I would say plan out your time. If you're going to work, Mondays might be music, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesday might be plugins, and Thursday might be mixing. You know. Um, hey, Santiago. All right, any other questions? Mm. All right, so if there are no other questions, then let me just review one more time. Make sure you have it. Uh, Outwork your potential. Focus on the minimal, and then overturn every stone and trust your preparation. All right. Again, if you have purchased anything from our site, for those that came late, I made an announcement at the beginning that we are actually redoing our website. Actually, we're in the final stages of testing. It's already done, so we're just testing it, and then we're going to release it to you shortly. Um, and so I would, if you've purchased one of our products, one of our downloads, um, just to make sure you don't have any time delay and be able to access your download, go ahead and download your files. Um, uh, um, Someone just said my website is okay. No. All right. So yeah, go ahead and make sure you download those and make sure you have your file so you don't have any gap. Noriko, I will making an announcement really soon, so stay tuned. I have an announcement really soon. Johnny Face says you playing. I'm glad to help, Johnny. Paul says I'll definitely be more disciplined. That's great. Santiago, best resource for voicing chords, voice chords, and voicings. Aha! I have a course called Chords Galore. That course is phenomenal. We cover hundreds of different voicings and how to work through them. So I would say definitely check that course out. Okay. Hey, Pedro. All right. Well, um, thank you all again. And so until the next one, be blessed and happy practicing.